The wine region that we have selected is Tuscany, Italy. In this presentation, we will be talking about the location, the varietals grown, the financial impact, the soil and weather, the history of the region, and some fun facts.
Tuscany is located in central Italy. It is a very diverse landscape, including coastal regions on the Tyrrhenian Sea and the Apennine Mountains. There is 8,900 square miles of landscape with a population of about 3.7 million people. Tuscany is one of the most popular regions in Italy because of cities such as Florence and Pisa, bringing in millions of tourists yearly.
For varietals grown in the region, we decided to break it into two parts. We began with red grape varietals. In Tuscany, they created a Sangiovese, which uses a late ripening grape that serves as a rich, alcoholic, and long-standing wine. Sangiovese is fruity and acidic wine that is paired very well with Italian cuisines. They also create a cab that is a strong wine that handles aging in oak very well. Cabs pair well with creamy cheeses, smoked meats, pizza, barbecue food, and other rich meat dishes. There is also a Merlot that is a full-bodied wine that uses black fruits along with chocolate and violet flavors. Merlots pair well with tomato-based pasta dishes, salmon, and smoked meats. Moving on to their white grapes, which includes their Trebbiano wines. Trebbianos are acidic and crisp wines that try to maintain neutrality in its flavors, but this can commonly come off to the consumer as bland. Trebbianos pair well with light meat such as chicken, turkey, and pork, as well as light fish such as catfish. There's also a Pinot Grigio that includes floral and citrus notes that are combined to create a crisp, light wine that pairs with seafood, light pastas, and cheese and crackers. They create a Moscato that is known to be very fresh tasting and is usually sweet and often carbonated. It pairs well with desserts such as chocolates and fruits. And lastly, there's a Malvasia wine that is aged in small barrels to highlight tannin and vanilla flavors within the wine. It pairs well with seafood antipastas such as scallops, shrimp, and calamari. In Tuscany, they're best known for their Super Tuscan wine, where they combine popular reds such as Sangiovese, Cabs, and Merlots to create a blend that portrays Tuscany as a whole. It's originally referred to as any Tuscan red wine that does not adhere to the traditional blending laws due to the fact that in the Old World, blending laws are much more strict than in the New World. An IGT Toscana guarantees that at least 85% of the fruit was sourced from the Tuscan region. Super Tuscans are typically displayed as the feature wine of a company because it highlights the best that Tuscany has to offer all within one wine.
A change was made in 1963 where grapes and regions changed, which caused the Italian Ministry of Agriculture to create two distinctions for labels, DOC and DOCG. It was an attempt to make sense of the maverick ways Italians grew grapes and made wine. It forced vintners to adhere to strict rules about which grapes must be used to make a particular regional wine. The reason for this is that the change was made because people were putting lower-priced wine and selling it for more than what it was worth. The regulation was to separate these out and make it more obvious what wine was priced correctly. The DOCG is highest and most expensive wine. DOC is the more middle line wine.
Soil weather influences. As in this case, throughout much of Italy, the climate and soil type create ideal growing conditions for a number of different grape varieties. The region never gets too wet and it never gets too dry. This balance is an important factor in the area's ability to grow grapes. Sunny hillsides throughout Tuscany provide perfect locations for vineyards, never getting too hot or too cold. It's as though the region was designed with the cultivation of grapes in mind. Cabernet Sauvignon flourishes in the warm areas along the Tuscan coast. Soils in Tuscany range from soft and crumbly marble-like clay limestone and dense sandstone in the Apennine foothills to sandy clay around the San Gimignano and gravelly clay and sandy soil in other areas.
The history of Tuscany starts in 1000 BCE, where an Etruscan tribe settled in the region and named it Tuscany. In the 11th century, the area was passed to the Ottoni family, who also owned a few other regions in the area. Matilda, the most famous Ottoni family member, supported Pope Gregory VII, and after she died, the cities in Tuscany affirmed their independence. Tuscany was transformed into a principality after the advent of the Medici as rulers of Florence in 1434. After the death of the last Medici Grand Duke in 1737, Tuscany was assigned to Francis of Lorraine. It was under this ruling that the great period of Tuscan reform took place, where internal trade barriers were removed, ecclesiastical privileges were reduced, and the death penalty was abolished. During the first half of the 19th century, Tuscany was noted for its tolerance towards liberals and its progressive government. On February 18, 1861, Tuscany formally became part of the new Italian state with the proclamation of the kingdom. Tuscany today is one of the most prosperous agricultural regions in Italy.
There are many different fun facts about Tuscany, but there are 5 that we found that are the most interesting to us. The first one is that the Chianti region is known as the heart of Tuscany. This is mainly because it is home to the infamous Chianti wine. The second fact is that there is no legal drinking age. However, to be served in a restaurant, you must be 16 years old. For the third fact, we found out that more than 157,000 acres of vineyards are throughout Tuscany, and the region provides almost 7.3 billion ounces of wine every year. Then the fourth fact that we found is that in several big screen movies, you can notice the Tuscan countryside. Some of these movies include Gladiator, Life is Beautiful, and The Twilight Saga. Lastly, we found that Tuscany was where the Italian language was born. And with that, we want to thank you for watching our presentation, and we hoped you enjoyed.